It is time, the best time of the week and the best time of the year. Some call it the most wonderful time of the year because it's the college football playoff, of course. That's Tim May, the 41-year vet in the middle of your screen. Mick Walker on the other side of your screen. I'm just Spencer Holbrook. Thanks for being here. It is time for bold predictions for Ohio State and Tennessee in the horseshoe in the first round of the college football playoff. It's going to be awesome. And Tim's going to give us the first bold prediction of this college football playoff season.
I am recycling. Jeremiah Smith, minimum 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. Final answer, Jeremiah Smith, minimum 6 catches, 2 touchdowns, minimum. Final answer.
Mick?
I typically try and keep it to the one that I send Spencer for our article, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'll go the Ohio State defense keeps Dylan Sampson, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, out of the end zone. No touchdowns for Dylan Sampson on Saturday in the horseshoe.
Woo.
Wow, you guys are quick, concise with these. No reasoning.
Because we've been thinking about it a while, man. It's holiday spirit. Caleb Johnson, he didn't get one till the scrubs were in there. So that sounds pretty plausible to me.
We've been working. We just needed the opportunity, just like Luke Montgomery. We just needed the opportunity to kind of step in and get our bold predictions out.
There's another bold prediction.
Yeah, I think
embedded bold prediction by Mick Walker.
All right, I think I'm ready to make mine now. I think Ohio State is going to turn Tennessee over 3 times. I watched the Tennessee-Georgia game. I watched the Tennessee-Alabama game, Tennessee-Oklahoma. I watched Tennessee-Arkansas. I think Nico is a really good player. He's got one of the strongest arms for a young quarterback I think I've ever seen in college football. I don't know if he's ready to be a star yet because when the pocket collapses on Nico Iamaleava, there is a tendency to put the ball on the grass. And he has never played in a game this cold. I understand fully. I know Vols fans will watch this video. I know they're going to be in the comments. I understand fully that it gets cold in Knoxville, Tennessee. I understand fully that Tennessee has been practicing outside. I understand that there are players who have played in the cold before. Nico Iamaleava has never played in a game this cold. And in a battle of quarterbacks, and when it's who's going to take better care of the football in the cold, even though Will Howard has had a tendency to turn the ball over a little bit this year, he has played big-time games in very cold weather. Nico has played big-time games in not-so-cold weather. I think the coldest game he's played has been 30 degrees. This game is going to feel like it's 10 degrees on the field. It might even feel colder when you get out there for an extended period of time. That, coupled with the fact that he's thrown a couple picks, the fumbles have been an issue when the pocket collapses. Jim Knowles talking about doing new creative things on defense to get Tennessee off its game. I think Ohio State will find a way to turn this Vols offense over 3 times. Now, whether that leads to a lot of points for Ohio State, I don't know, because Tennessee's offense is also very good. But I think that Tennessee will turn the ball over 3 times against this Ohio State.
So let me get this straight. You think Tennessee's going to turn the ball over 3 times? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay, like an omelet?
An omelet.
Yeah, you turn it over once, then you put the grease in, you flip it over again, and then you put the grease in. Flip it, and then you till the cheese really gets runny, and then you flip it over again. They're going to go omelet on the Volunteers. Is that what you're saying?
Sure. I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah, Tim. Offensive player of the game.
Well, I guess I better go with Jeremiah Smith, right? But I'm going to go with the obvious. In a game like this, if your offensive player of the game isn't your quarterback, look out. So I'm going to go Will Howard. Final answer. Will Howard has his finest hour thus far with the Buckeyes. Will Howard, offensive MVP for the Buckeyes, whether it's running and throwing combo, running the offense, whatever you want to call it. He's the guy that's going to have to handle that very cold football more than anybody else. I'm going to go with Will Howard. Final answer.
Mick?
I'm going to tie it in. My written bold prediction for Spencer was 2 touchdowns by Emeka Egbuka, and I think that's going to happen on Saturday. I think a rushing touchdown potentially from out of the backfield if Chip Kelly does some crazy, interesting stuff with them, or even a receiving touchdown. Obviously, I'm not the big golfer. Spencer and Tim are. I think every now and then when you get in a tough spot, you got to bring out your old trusty club, and I think for the Ohio State offense, Emeka Egbuka is that trusty club, whether it's in the slot out wide or in the backfield, getting him the ball, getting him in the end zone. So Emeka Egbuka, offensive player of the game.
The 5 wood. Just take the 5 wood out. Man, stroke it.
I am going to go with Quinshon Judkins. There's one player in this Ohio State offense who has seen the down-to-down physicality that comes with playing some of these SEC teams. I think Tennessee is one of the most physical of these SEC teams. I don't think they're one of the best, but they're one of the most physical. Just watching them on tape, like they're not afraid to really muddy things up on the interior of that offensive line. And with this struggling Ohio State offensive line, yards are going to be hard to come by. You need a guy who's going to turn 2 yards into 4, 4 into 8, and 8 into 60. Who's the guy that I trust to do that from this Ohio State backfield when it matters the most? The guy who has 130 fewer carries this year than he has had in any year so far in college football. He's fresh. He's well rested. Ryan Day said he looks like he's rested and ready to go. He looks fresh on the practice field. He's had a good couple weeks of practice. I'm going to take Quinshon Judkins as my offensive player of the game. I think this might be, and call me crazy because you're
crazy.
Thanks, Tim. There's reason to doubt this Ohio State offensive line, but I think there's an opportunity for Quinshon to get loose a couple of times and make Tennessee pay for sitting back and trying to defend this Ohio State passing attack. And so I'm gonna trust Quinshon can get some yardage like he did when he was at Ole Miss against some of these defenses. I know he hasn't played Tennessee, but he's played Tennessee adjacent teams in the SEC. He knows what it's like. I'll take him to have a pretty good day on the ground for Ohio State. Defensive player of the game, Tim.
And I'm toss up here, but I'm going to go with Caleb Downs. I know, yeah, Mr. Obvious, but I would like to pick one of the defensive linemen. But I just think it is so important for Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom, for that matter, to be on their game. I might go co-defensive players of the game. I'll do that. Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom have to be on their game. I think they will be. I think they will end up in some ways being the difference in this game. Caleb Downs and Lathan Ransom, co-defensive players of the game. Did I steal anybody's guy?
No,
Okay.
I'll move it up one level of the defense. I'll go Cody Simon. If my bold prediction of keeping Dylan Sampson out of the end zone is going to come true, it feels like it's going to be a big game from Cody Simon. There were some murmurs on Wednesday when we were inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center about how the first round CFP games will now create a new statistical category for Ohio State. And I think we're going to see Cody Simon set the record for tackles in a first round playoff game pretty high, with probably double digit tackles, meaning Dylan Sampson inside the box a handful of times, making a few stops. So also have to deal with their Remington Award finalist center and Cooper Mays. So it's going to be a tough day for Cody Simon, but
Yep.
I'd like him to have a big game.
By the way, you're right. That is the last game of the day too, and you're talking about across the board first round college football playoff leader in tackles, right?
Correct.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Sawyer. This team is getting a do-over on Senior Day. They're not going to celebrate it as such, but they are getting a true do-over. They're not going to run another tunnel, hear their names called, have delays around their neck, whatever. They do those traditions for Senior Day. It didn't go well against Michigan. Everybody knows that. I'm not going to rehash all those things. Jack made a play in that game that I think can really spearhead him to some great things here in the playoff if Ohio State's going to make a run here. I like this Tennessee offensive line. I don't love this Tennessee offensive line. I think with Jim Knowles bringing some exotic looks, which I think he's going to do, bringing some different pressures, which I think he's going to do, I think you're going to see 33 in the backfield, whether that's a forced fumble, whether that's a strip sack, whether that's just a couple sacks or a sack and a half, maybe even just a couple tackles for loss and run support, because he's a good run defender and he doesn't get enough credit for that because he's not Chase Young as a pass rusher. I'll take Jack as my defensive player of the game. I think he's going to have to come out and play really well. And some of those exotic looks will give him a chance to do that. Ohio State fans, the college football playoff brackets are officially set. With a win over Tennessee a week from Saturday, the Buckeyes will head to Pasadena to face the top-seeded Oregon Ducks in the Rose Bowl and in a rematch of that classic game from October. Now it's time to start thinking about your travel arrangements. Reynolds Travel, the go-to headquarters for Buckeyes Bowl travel for 50 years, is ready to take you to the heart of the quarterfinal playoff action. Reynolds packages feature round-trip air transportation from Columbus, deluxe hotel accommodations, transfers from the airport, Buckeye Bash events, and game travel, as well as game tickets, all under the eye of Reynolds' seasoned event staff. They're always on hand to make sure your bowl game travel is as memorable and as carefree as possible. For those of you traveling to LA on your own, you can still get in on the Buckeye playoff action by selecting a hotel package that includes all the features exclusive of the air travel in case you're traveling without Reynolds Travel. Visit reynoldstravel.com in the coming days for complete details, or call 866-880-0577. That's 866-880-0577. ReynoldsTravel.com. Start thinking about that trip to the Rose Bowl if the Buckeyes can get past Tennessee next weekend in the Horseshoe. Tim, I need your score pick. We've been stewing over this since November 30th. If you asked me on November 30th, I probably would have taken Tennessee by 1 billion. But at this point, I think
wow, the Michigan over-under.
The Michigan game is behind Ohio State, especially for the players and the coaches. As fans, you don't have to be over it, and that's fine. But these guys have turned the page. They're ready to go try to win a national championship. I need your score prediction, Tim. Do they get one step closer to doing that?
Wasn't that a Joe Walsh song? Get over it. Get over it. Is one of the Eagles. I'm going with I'm just going to blurt it out. I'm going with Ohio State like 27-13. I just think there might be an extra score thrown in there in some form or fashion, but I'm going Ohio State 27-13. Final answer.
Mick?
I'll keep it in a similar vein. I think it's going to be a low scoring. I think it's going to be, as you guys said, a cold game. I'll take it. Ohio State 21, Tennessee 10. Keeping it down. I think there's a lot of boom or bust with this Tennessee offense. If it's not going to boom, it's probably going to bust pretty bad, and that's less than 2 touchdowns here is what I see.
Wow. Okay. I've got Ohio State. I made a prediction on one of the radio hits I did earlier in the week at 28-17. I think I'm going to go 28-20. I think I'm going to pick Ohio State to win 28-20. I have a really good feeling about what Ohio State's game plan is going to be. I have a good feeling about what Ohio State's going to try to do to stress this Tennessee defense. And I think the Ohio State defense is going to come out really angry and ready to go. And I think Tennessee will too. But there's some belief that I have that Ohio State will be the Ohio State that we wanted to see all season, start to ramp that up here in the college football playoff. They really want this rematch against Oregon. They can't do it without getting through Tennessee, so you might as well beat Tennessee and get to it. That's my take on it. Tim, any very last thought? This is the last time we're talking before Ohio State, Tennessee at 8 p.m. on ABC in the Horseshoe on Saturday night.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I do have an interesting feeling about this Ohio State offense, the offensive line, especially as Ryan Day explained what he wants from them. It sounds like they're going to keep it pretty simple, as simple as you can. Simple, not as in, hey guys, this is a form block, but they're going to keep it pretty straightforward with, if there's a guy in front of you, drive him backwards, and no, it's never anywhere that simple. Big difference between a gap and a zone block, right on down the line. I understand all that, but I just have a sense that this line, whatever iteration it takes, if in fact Luke Montgomery not only starts but plays most of the game at one of the guard spots, probably left guard, it keeps sounding like, but I just think it's going to be fired up to prove itself. And they're going to be going against the strength, in my opinion, the strength of the Tennessee defense, just like they did 3 weeks ago against Michigan. That didn't turn out so well, but it sounds like Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, from talking with both of them this week, they are both ready and willing and able to pivot on a dime if certain things aren't working, whereas it didn't look like they did that. Matter of fact, I think they admitted they didn't do that against Michigan. So that's what's intrigued me about this game. It'll be interesting to see how many possessions each team gets. And one other quick thought. When you run a hurry-up offense or up-tempo offense like Tennessee did, I talked about this with you earlier in the week, Spence, you better get first downs, or you can be off the field in a hurry too. Ohio State, I think, has struck a pretty good balance, between what they do. But Tennessee, unlike a lot of teams, they'll hurry up and get to the line. Ohio State does, but then call a play and take a while. Tennessee pretty much gets up to the line. It's almost like they're in a 2-minute drill a lot of times and just runs a play. So we'll see if that carries through on Saturday night. But the defense is going to be huge for both teams in this game. I know, wow, what a statement by Tim May. But I think Ohio State down the road has the better defense.
Mick, any closing thoughts?
I'm interested to see the big social media topic this week on the percentage of Tennessee fans that invade or infiltrate Ohio Stadium. I'll be down on the field, so once game time kickoff starts rolling around, we'll get a video up on social media to kind of see what the final product was. But I'm interested to see how much orange is actually in the stadium. I think obviously everyone talks about the secondary ticket market. I think we're going to see more Ohio State fans than we're even talking about. And I believe Spencer could tell you there's even tickets available if you would like to get in on that and add some Scarlet to help Scarlet out the shoe.
I mean, yeah, go to Game Time. Use code On3, get $20 off your first purchase. Seems pretty easy. $20 off, too. You're getting into double digits for ticket prices because they're plummeting still. That's not really my final thought. My final thought is just, I fully expect Ryan Day to embrace, channel, not just anger, but some, do or die mentality. Everybody points to the Georgia game, but nobody was questioning Ryan Day's job status for the Georgia game. They were just questioning if Ohio State deserved to be in the playoff. And I think, they always say like a wounded wolf, a desperate, whatever the phrase is, like a desperate animal is going to
be a desperate doe in the jaws of a wounded wolf.
Exactly. Underdog runs faster.
Exactly. Like, you do some crazy things when you're desperate, and it's not just crazy as in like undisciplined or whatever. Like you really find some creative ways to get out of a jam. This is one of the most competitive people I've ever met in my life. He doesn't show it, at the podium like Urban Meyer did, or in meeting rooms yelling at his coaches like maybe some other people would like him to. But he's as competitive as they come. Tim and I talk about it all the time. I'm really anxious to see what chord he strikes on Saturday night to get the most out of his team, because Ryan Day wants this worse than anybody else. Even though he's paid to do this job, he wants it worse than anyone else. And I want to see what that yields on the field for Ohio State. That's just my closing thought. I just think it's an interesting thing. We'll see what Ryan Day is really like, what he's about when he picks himself up off the mat from November 30th.
Okay, remember this. Just remember this. They had a great play call on their first possession of the fourth quarter against Michigan. It was a pass from Will Howard to Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate had been having a hell of a game, and Carnell Tate looked ahead a little bit and dropped the ball. You understand what I'm saying? That was I don't know if you call that a bold call, but he was wide open. I keep saying he might still be running if he hadn't dropped it. You can be bold with the coaches, but it finally comes down to Will Howard and the running backs and offensive linemen and wide receivers and tight ends making plays when you have the opportunity. And it always comes down to that. And Ryan Day wants to win this game, like you said, in the worst way or the best way, But it always comes down to the players making plays.
Yeah, it certainly does.
And field goals and making field goals.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it always comes down to Lettermen Row's bold predictions, of course, because we're never wrong. We're just early. They'll all happen eventually. Well, maybe.
Well, if I'm wrong, I recycle it, just like I just did this time.
Yeah, Tim's never missed a prediction in 41 years. It's all the players and the coaches that have messed it up.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to go execute. Tim puts in the plan. You've just got to go execute.
Yeah.
This video is going to be finalized now because we're going to go get to the horseshoe. It's going to be an incredible day. Of course, kicks off Friday night, Notre Dame, Indiana. Actually kicks off at noon on Friday, Ohio versus Jacksonville State in the Cure Bowl. Make sure you tune in for that. Then watch Notre Dame, Indiana. Then you get the appetizers, Notre Dame or Penn State, SMU as the appetizer wine, I guess. And then the real appetizer is Texas Clemson. And then, of course, the main course and dessert and nightcap, whatever you want to call it, is Ohio State and Tennessee at 8 p.m. in the Horseshoe on ABC. It's a Scarlet out. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. The first ever college football playoff game in Ohio Stadium, and Lettermen Row will be there in full force. Mick Walker on the other side of the screen. He'll be there on the field taking some photos and trying not to freeze. Tim May in the middle of your screen. He's been at everything for 41 years. He's not going to miss this for anything. And then it's just me, Spencer Holbrook. We'll be there. Lettermen Row will have full coverage of Ohio State, Tennessee. Stay tuned because in the aftermath of the game, one way or another, we're either heading to LA or we're going to start to ask really tough questions about this program. One way or another, we'll be there at lettermenrow.com. Stick around. Come hang out with us in the Lettermen Lounge message board. We'll see you over at lettermenrow.com. We'll see you in the Horseshoe on Saturday for Ohio State and Tennessee.